He changed my business. Just his belief in me and the belief in my business. He changed my life.
It's a new Wednesday, which means a new episode of the Skid Steer Nation podcast. It's Ryan Deemer, your trusty host. And today, I want to tell you about our good friend, Drew Gardner. From a municipality gas line to muddy job sites, Drew's turned his side hustle into a full-time excavation operation, armed with nothing but a bobcat and his relentless work ethic. Today, we're going to dig into the man behind Tennessee Valley Landworks. He started the business in 2016. He's got quite a bit of experience to share with us, good, bad, and the ugly. Before I introduce you guys to Drew, I do want to remind you that this episode is always sponsored by skidsteernation.com. Guys, you work hard. You need your equipment to work hard. American-made attachments from Skid Steer Nation do just that. For your next attachment need, please head over to skidsteernation.com or just go into the show notes and click the link. And our other sponsor is Throttled Up Marketing. Guys, excavation's a tough world. Finding a marketing company that understands it is probably tougher. That's where me and my team of experienced marketers comes into place. We know your industry. We know what works. We know what you need to be doing to get visibility on Google and to look professional for your customers. So if you're interested in learning more about how we can help you with your marketing needs, show notes, click the link, or visit getthrottledup.com. Well, man, enough of the ad rolls. Drew, thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
No, man, it's our pleasure to have you. Yeah, you actually had me a little confused. I think we start out with that, man. Your business is called Tennessee Valley Landworks, but ironically, the Tennessee Valley is located in Alabama.
Yeah, part of North Alabama. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're actually located in Alabama with the Tennessee name.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's very odd. You know, as I said before, the area that I wanted to kind of direct my work was the Huntsville area, hence that name. They kind of call it the Tennessee Valley. We're on the outskirts of that a little bit in my area, Albertville, Alabama. We're actually on a little hill called Sand Mountain. But, you know, there's a lot of missile defense agencies up there, you know, Redstone Arsenal. There's a lot of jobs in Huntsville. It's a growing area. It's, you know, been a growing area for years. So, you know, we wanted to kind of gear toward that way. Actually, we started the job up there yesterday. So,
okay.
And that was kind of my thoughts behind that. Was it a good idea? I don't know, but we're rolling with it nonetheless.
Well, I mean, I don't know how busy your work schedule is, but I see that you've got almost 5,000 people that follow you on Facebook, and that's 2 to 3 times more than most businesses and excavation businesses. So something's working for you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Man,
yeah, we're very blessed, very fortunate.
That's awesome. Hey, I want to kick back, man. Like you started this business in 2016. So again, like we talked about, you're not new to the game. You've been around. You've seen it all. Good, the bad, the ugly. But in 2016, I'm assuming working for the gas company probably had a lot of good perks, benefits, good, decent pay.
Absolutely.
What was the moment that you're like, I'm doing this full time?
Well, I'll just go back if we have a second. So I started in 2016, and all this was started on an accident. If I'm just be quite honest.
Let's. We got an hour or more. Guys love hearing this in the skid steer, so take your time, man. Let's roll through it.
So I was at that time kind of, you know, messing around with antique farm tractors, and I would buy and sell them. And, you know, I needed something around my house to move things around pretty much. And I thought, you know, I'm paying for a truck out here and making a high truck payment. I could probably buy a skid steer, put it to work, and actually pay for itself, you know, here and there, just on the side, just as like most people do, you know. A lot of people do get into this. And, man, it just blew up. You know, I bought a T190 Bobcat, financed it 100% my credit union, and my work kind of just took off. And I have a good friend. We still work together to this day. He was in the mulching business at the time, one of the first in our area, actually, to get into it. He had a brush cutter. He said, hey, man, if you ever want to use my brush cutter, you know, you you're more welcome to it. Well, that kind of took off, you know. So I was hammering down through the week and on the weekends after work, you know, and it just kept going. I ended up buying a single axle dump truck in 2018. I added a Mini X in 2019, and then 2020, I had actually changed jobs. I went to the city of Boaz up here. I was at the street department as the assistant superintendent. And at that time, my boss told me, he said, you know, Drew, I can tell your heart's not in this. Why aren't you working for yourself? You know, and I had fears, and, you know, whatever, you know, people have different political beliefs, but anyway, I won't get into that. But anyway, you know, he said, you can't be looking at anybody. You gotta take some risks, man. And he said, I think that's what you need to do. And pretty much, he was the one that really pushed me to just go ahead and do it. So in November of 2020, in the middle of a COVID pandemic, I decided to take this thing full time. And around in February of that year, I landed my first commercial project, scared to death. But we handled it, got it done, and had worked for that guy ever since. Actually been a job for that same company today. That guy passed away here the other day, and we attended his viewing. It's kind of sad. But anyway, I know I'm kind of getting off on.
You're good, man.
That's kind of how it happened, man. It was just, you know, taking risks, and it just didn't make sense anymore to work a public job. I'm fortunate. I have a wife that teaches school, and she's got good insurance, so we were able to get on her health insurance, and that's been a big blessing in itself, you know. So
that's awesome. I got one question as a fellow entrepreneur. If you took the leap in November of 2020, what time frame before that was your gut telling you, man, I should be doing this full time?
2 years. 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, we all need that outside influence, which yours was the other guy at the street department, to recognize the passion and the talent, and to just help give us that nudge to go over the cliff sometimes. Oh, having a little sound technical difficulties here. He's working on it. Lost Drew's microphone. But while he's working on that, guys, it's true. Think back through your own journey. Like, there was somebody that helped push you over the edge to take that leap and either do this full time or to start this business. And, you know, we create self-doubts internally.
Yeah.
And we sometimes need that outside. No, you're good, sorry, man. I was just doing a little monologue while you were gone, man. Like,
I'm sorry.
Felt like Macbeth from Shakespeare there.
I get you.
Yeah. No, but it's cool to look back at the journey and like recognize the people that saw your potential and believed in it more than you did at the moment, right? And helped push you in the right direction instead of holding you back. Absolutely.
And you know, I was blessed. I had multiple people that I respected, you know, good friends of mine, that, you know, they were all the time, you know, aren't you taking this full time? You know, they said, write it out on paper, pros and cons, you know, and I did that. And finally, you know, I just had to say, hey, you know, I would tell anybody there's never a perfect time. I don't believe, you know, you're never going to get that aha moment. It's going to be scary. And it even is till this day, you know. I still have moments where I think, was this the right decision? And those quickly fade. It seems like the longer you travel in this, or the longer I have traveled this journey, that the more it makes sense that this was the right decision. This was the right thing to do.
Yeah, yes, you're absolutely right. It takes time in the seat to get good as an operator. It takes time as an owner to get used to the ebbs and flows of ownership.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, like, I started my entrepreneurial business journey in 2003. So for 11, 12 years, I was a full-time entrepreneur. That was part-time for a while, and I've been full-time for the last 5 again. And the things that I come up against that I tell people that aren't entrepreneurs or early entrepreneurs, like cash investments for this, or we're not going to get paid for 60 days on that. They're all like, how do you handle that? And I just was like, listen, after 20 years of experience, it always works out. It always, I do not lose sleep over it anymore. I can't control it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, that's a lesson, Ryan, that I'm having to learn right now. You know, talking about the not getting paid for 60 days, not getting paid for, had one just hold me out 120 days. So, you know, when you first run into that, you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But it always works out. Just take it day by day, man. That's what I've had to do. And that's what I've had to learn is a lot of times you just got to take it day by day.
Yeah. And here's the thing I'll tell you, as a business owner, like, you can't control whether that customer pays you on time or not.
Right.
Like, unfortunately, you just can't.
Right.
Like, he can say, no, I'm not paying it. If you know, and if that's, obviously it stresses you out. But if it's going to affect your cash flow to the point that it affects how you operate your business, then all you need to do is go communicate to whomever you need to, whether it's the bank that has the note on the skid steer, or like, if you're transparent and upfront with them saying, hey, this guy's holding out $55,000. He was supposed to pay me last week. I've got $30,000 in material expenses and labor kicked out on this. Like, I just need a little buffer so I can fight him to get that money. They'll give it to you because you're talking to them.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
exactly right.
Times will get tight, and you got to tighten the belt from time to time. But the world will not end if a customer is a no pay.
That's right. That's exactly right. Exactly. So it's a learning experience for sure.
It is. And I'll tell you what, it's fun. In my opinion, it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
So you did that first commercial job, you said. What were some of like the issues that you had upon that were new to you, from going from like a part-time side hustle guy, working a few jobs, and then digging into full-time, then opening the doors into the commercial world, which is a different animal than residential?
Well, that was an interesting job. I'll just say it. It was a small job and consisted of a parking lot, a small parking lot. And I remember meeting with the GC on the job, and he was a negotiating guy. You know, this wasn't one of those, you know, sent out to 4 or 5 GCs, you know, on plan rooms and all that. He was working directly for the owner, and they contacted him. You know, it was the perfect job to cut your teeth on, if you know what I mean. But I remember him saying, you know, Drew, we're going to have to undercut this 2 foot and bring back some good dirt. You know, we might have to put some fabric in. The GO reports from years ago when we did the other building beside it. And so I went in and did my takeoff and all by myself. First takeoff I'd ever done. Sat down and put the plans out on the table and tried to grid it off, and, you know, looking at YouTube videos and trying to figure out, hey, how do you do an earthwork takeoff? And anyway, figured it out. And I remember we went to undercutting it, trying to get down to grade. This before we had GPS. We were out there with laser levels, or I was, and a friend of mine, I got a friend of mine to come help me with it. And I remember the dirt being so bad, Ryan. It was unreal terrible that you could almost not strip off the topsoil with a dozer. We were fighting it so bad, and I was thinking, what in the world have I gotten myself into? Just over, you know, now it would be no big deal, but back then it was just so overwhelming. And we went in and we got it all cut down. We were fighting rain. It was, you know, this time of year down here in Alabama, it rains every other day, it seems like. It's just springtime of year. We get storms. We were getting bad thunderstorms, you know, and I thought, I'm never going to get done with this job. And I had already bought all my materials up front, paying for my import dirt as it came in. And we got it done. And I remember that feeling of just that feeling of accomplishment, like, wow, we done this. And if it hadn't been for some help of some good friends, I don't know. They kind of helped motivate me and push me through it a little bit and come out and helped. And I'm thankful for that. But I just remember that overwhelming feeling. But when it was all over with, man, it was great. And that guy had 2 or 3 more for us to do right after that. And he kept us. I think we wound up in 2021 when we did that job. We wound up doing 4 jobs for him that year.
That's awesome.
Back to back.
So Drew, that feeling that you're describing, the way I equate that and explain it to people that aren't in their own business, I'm like, do you remember the day? Can you remember the way you felt as a child when you actually learned how to ride a bicycle without any help or training wheels? Yeah. Like that. That sense of freedom, that sense of I can do anything. Like that's the exact same feeling an adult gets owning a business when they complete a difficult project that shows that they can continue to move forward. It's the exact feeling. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I ride back up there all the time, or I'll go by it and I'll look, I can't help but smile, man. It just, the way it worked out. We did that job with a Mini X and 2 skid steers and a dozer for a little bit. I was renting that, and anyway.
Yeah, it becomes your starting point of your new venture, right? Like that's your landmark project that you can look back on and compare where you are today versus where you were in 2020.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
And I'm just so thankful on that job we were working with the guy that we were, the GC that we were working for. We couldn't have asked for a better company to work for and to help us out, get started on that job. They were great. Superintendent was wonderful. Yeah. They become real good friends of ours now.
Is that the same GC that you said recently passed away?
Yes, sir.
So I don't know, like how open you want to be about this or like whatever direction you want to take it, but it's hard to find really good relationships that are both professional and personal.
Absolutely, it is.
What kind of an impact did that relationship have on you, your business, throughout the last 5 years?
He changed my business. I'll tell people that. Just his belief in me and the belief in my business. He changed my business. He changed my life. You know what I mean? I don't know that he ever knew that. He was, of course, he had a partner. They're still going now. The superintendent's actually took it. He's kind of taking the reins, and the partner is, I think, at this time until they decide what's going on. But that whole company was just great to us, just and has been since 2021, since we started with them.
How did he change your life?
Just opening that door, just giving me that chance. You know what I mean? I don't know where my business would be right now had it not been for that company. He actually wrote, so in Alabama, I don't know how it is in other states, to do work over $50,000, you have to hold a subcontractor's license. To get that subcontractor's license, you have to have a letter of recommendation from a GC, or a work letter from a GC showing what you've done, and a civil engineer and an architect. Well, I was able to get my letter from his engineer he had hired, his civil engineer he had hired. Let's say that right. From him and his civil engineer, and then another contractor I worked for, had done some work for here in town. So without those 2 recommendations from Mr. Hearn, I don't know that I would even be doing commercial work, because I don't know where I would have been. Those few projects that we did and got started for him were under the limits of what we needed to do. We were able to work it out in ways. And so, yeah, I mean, that too, he was real helpful. He was real encouraging. And I'm not going to say, everything was always a bed of roses and everything was always perfect. Yeah, we had some snags here and there, but overall, I just couldn't ask for no better. It's been a great experience.
Did you pick up any lessons along the way on how to be a better business owner or a better father, husband, person in the community as a business owner from him?
Yeah, he told me, I won't never forget him saying this. We were sitting in his office going over a job and, pricing it. And of course, I know you know this. They will all try to nudge you a little bit on your price, and we get to the table to do that a little bit. But we were talking about one day. He said, Drew, I've been doing in business for 40-something years. He was in his 70s, and he told me about going to the plan rooms and all that, and when he first started, and just pulling out jobs and trying to bid them and all, and sitting down all night. But anyway, he said, you never quit learning. He said, I still hadn't quit learning till this day. He said, you're always learning, always something new. And it kind of made me feel like, you don't have to know everything. Don't look down on yourself if you don't know everything. And I'm bad to feel that way, that I'm kind of less than sometimes because I don't know this or I don't know that, but we're always learning. And that's stuck with me. That has really stuck with me, that, you don't feel bad if you don't know this. You don't just learn, ask questions, learn it, do what you got to do to learn it, do what you got to do to get the job done. And, I told him that when I did that first commercial job, I told him, Mr. Hearn, I've never done a job like this before, a commercial job, but I promise you I won't let you down, and I'll do whatever I got to do to get it done. And he remembered that. But, he was a good Christian man too. And he just always had good advice. It seemed like, sometimes it was hidden in other things, but he was a good guy, very good guy.
That's the best advice I found, when it's hidden in other things and you got to find it for yourself because you remember it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. That's exactly right. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's I'm sorry for your loss. It sounds like it was more than just a business relationship, but also personal. Yeah, and that's tough. But
it's one of those things you don't realize what you got till it's gone. You know what I mean? We take for granted things in life a lot, and I guess we took for granted that relationship with him because we worked for some others that hadn't been. You're just another sub. You know what I mean? You're just another. It's just strictly business. We work for other, like I said, we work for other GCs that, you're just another number to them. He always liked to build a good team. He liked to use the same subs, and he would work with us to get to where he needed to be and where we needed to be, where we can make money and he could make money, and it was good for the owners and good for everybody, And you get to know the same subs, so you're on the job and you know the framers, and you can work with the framers and the electricians and the plumbers, and you all kind of coordinated with each other. You ain't got everybody on top of each other working, and they were just smooth. Everything's just smooth with them.
Yeah.
And so
I learned that from a home builder actually many years ago. Just the efficiencies you gain by having people that are familiar working together, i.e. plumber, electrician, carpenter. And he's like, even if it's, 3 points, 5 points higher, he's like, you gain it in the back end in schedule and efficiencies.
Absolutely. I guess that's one of the things you learn is with experience, being a GC with some experience,
Cheaper isn't better.
Absolutely.
If that's not a line these guys listen to this don't say every day to their customers.
Right.
I don't know what is.
Right.
Oh, man. One of the areas that a couple things I wanted to make sure we talked about in this interview, Drew, was one, you I can tell by talking to you why you're good at this, but customer service is definitely a strong point for you.
Right.
I'm assuming that once you get on site and somebody meets you in person, your odds of getting that contract are substantially higher than they were when it was just a phone call.
I hope so. Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do, or like what have you recognized that you do in order to be so good at customer service?
Well, I always want to give up front and be honest. Just be honest about your abilities and what you can do. I'm not saying you have to sell yourself, and yeah, you have to do that, but being honest and being humble, I guess. I don't know any other way to be. That's just how I was raised, but my dad was, he pushed, beat it in our heads when we were young. He used to be a humble person. And I don't know if that transitions into that. You know what I mean? I just try to talk to the customers and, just give them a sense that, they're going to be okay. I'm going to do whatever I can do to make them happy. Sometimes you can't make people happy, and I get that. But, we're going to do our best to take care of them and give them what they want for we're going to give them value. I tell them all the time, I might not be cheaper. I told this to a guy the other day. I built a little building pad for him, and I wasn't the cheapest guy. I wound up getting the job. But I told him, when I do this, I'm going to do it the only way I know to price this, sir, is how I would do it for myself. When you get out in the residential world, you're bidding against so many different people. We had one guy that was going to bid it, and he wasn't going to bring any dirt in. He was going to strip the grass off and make it level, and it's a pasture with 2 foot of dirt in it. You know what I mean? Topsoil, and you can't do that. You can't build on that. So obviously his number was way lower than mine. And I come in, and I was actually higher than the guy before me, and then there was one that come in after me, and he was 3,000 or 4,000 higher than me. And I wound up getting it. But I just kept telling him, sir, all I know to do is price this the way I would price it for myself if I was doing it for me. And if I'm not, I can't help what everybody else is doing, and he gave me the job. And that's just what I try to be honest with them, not try to oversell or, a lot of people pick up on arrogance, I think.
And I want to make a quick note, Drew, I don't want to interrupt you. Sorry, but I want to make a quick note on that. When you said that, it struck a chord with me. You said people pick up on arrogance. I agree with you, but I think as a business owner's perspective, the bigger lesson is to understand there's an extremely fine line on how people perceive arrogance and confidence.
Oh, you're exactly right, Brian. You are.
And if you're coming off overly confident, it appears arrogant to the customer.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm careful not to do that. Like I said, you want to be confident. You want to. I hate to use the word sell yourself, but that's what you've almost got to do. You got to be confident in your abilities when you're talking to them, and you got to be confident in that you can deliver for them, and that no matter what it takes, within reason, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, I've had people try to take advantage of situations with me, and you have to put your foot down about it. But, for the most part, just being confident but not being arrogant, not going out and talking about your competition, the other guys, not putting them down. I've had customers try to do that with me. They've tried to bring up, well, this guy, can you believe he priced it for this? Can you? And I always say, I'm not sure what he's pricing, but this is what I'm pricing. Never put anybody down. Never put another business down. I don't do that to my customers, and it's just not professional. I'm not going to go in and say, this guy does this, I've heard he's done this, or he can't deliver this, I speak for me and me only, and that's it.
Listen, Drew, I learned this the hard way back in 2004 when I owned bars and restaurants, but For every minute, every hour, and every day you're worrying about researching or talking about your customers is a minute, an hour, and a day you are not working on growing your business. They are a distraction. Exactly right. They are a distraction.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You know, and I always think what they do, honestly, has no bearing on what I'm doing. I've got to focus on what I can do and how I can run my business. And they're doing the same thing. You know what I mean? So anyway, I don't know. I've heard, people talk, and other people try to put other businesses down for their gain. I'm just not about that.
Yeah, that's that humility kicking in, man.
Well, yeah, I don't want nobody to do me that way, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Listen, man, if you're good-hearted and you have a right heart and you're truthful to your clients,
yeah,
there's enough work for everybody out there.
Absolutely.
And it's 100%. A repetitive theme on this show, but I mean, I say it all the time, but a rising tide lifts all ships, man.
Absolutely. That's correct.
Only the ones with the holes in it go sink to the bottom. So
that's right.
If you're tending to your ship and not worrying about the ship next door, i.e. the competitor, you shouldn't have any holes in yours.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And on that note, I will say in my area where I live, man, we are so blessed, dude. We have so many good contractors in our area that's excavating contractors, and we all get along very well. We all talk to each other, I mean, we don't give trade secrets out, but when we're talking to each other, we're, we all have a good relationship, I feel like. And I don't think you have that everywhere. But we were very fortunate here. So
that's a blessing. I'm glad you recognize it. Like, 'cause a lot of guys, all you ever hear about, it's like the lunch lady. Nobody recognizes when she makes a great lunch, but everybody talks about the bad one.
Absolutely. That's right. Right.
Nobody recognizes they have good relationship with other contractors, but everyone can tell you the details of the bad relationships.
Absolutely. That's right.
So, one of the side notes on customer service is that you say sometimes you feel like you can be a pushover.
Yeah. I could go into a big story about that. Let's just say it's happened, and we're doing things to not do that anymore, to try to stand our ground on a few things. And it's easy. That's harder to do in the commercial world, and that's kind of what I'm referring to. You get into doing things for customers, for commercial customers, especially for GCs. And if you give an inch, they'll take a mile. Mm-hmm. I've had some do that, and you want their work, so you'll give a little here, and then you'll give a little there, and you'll haul all their spoil dirt off from their other trades, and won't say nothing about it just to try to keep going, or you will. And this isn't just me. I mean, me and my friend group. I have another good friend that's an asphalt contractor, and I'll partner up with another guy, and we've all three been guilty of it. Giving a little here, giving a little there. Getting outside our scope. I'm not saying that's not ever, but when they start just expecting it all the time, that's where I've been a pushover at. Last year I hauled off probably, I'm going to say, a couple of hundred yards of dirt for free, just because I didn't want to make the GC mad. Well, that turned into the next job. I had to haul off another few hundred loads that wasn't expected of me, and I didn't, not a few hundred yards of it. And then that turned into several other things. It just kept snowballing and snowballing, and before long you're thinking, man, I'm losing a bunch of money here, just for things that I hadn't been expected to do, or wasn't in my scope of work. And they know that. Some of them do. Some of them know how to play that game. And it's just learning to play the game back, if you know what I'm saying. It got to put your foot down about some things.
Yeah.
And that's been a learning experience for me, Ryan. I'm not going to say I know everything, because I don't, because I'm still learning. But anyway.
It's a learning experience for everybody, Drew. I mean, until you get in there, you value the relationship so much that you want to make sure that you make them happy so you can keep getting work. Next thing you realize, shit, this is becoming a repetitive theme, and he's expecting it. I've actually set my own expectations of failure because I've done it so many times for him. And this is where I always say you have to go back and mentally and with pen and paper review your process from start to finish. Where's the gaps? What could you improve on? Where are you doing things like hauling dirt for no fee? How do we address that? You should have some sort of a process.
Yes.
Just like you have, I'm guarantee you have a mental process you go through for every estimate you do.
Yes, absolutely.
You should have one for every project you do and write it out. If you're going to start hiring a lead and some other people, then that process needs to be written out, which is where I get into. I geek out on that stuff, almost too much.
Right. Right. Oh, I agree completely. I agree. And it's just still. That's just like I said. You're still learning, or I'm still learning, and that's one of those things that we've had to learn. It's, you kind of you stand your ground pretty much.
I love that you took responsibility for it, right? The GC didn't ask you to do it. You just did it. You have to own that part of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. That's right. Now we've learned a little exclusion in our contracts. We don't export soil generated by other trades or non-work performed by us unless we get a change order on it. Or we don't we don't let other trades like plumbers and electricians, use our rock that's on site. They have to use theirs. If we have a rock stockpile for our storm drains for some reason, we've had that happen in the past.
It disappears.
It's just little things. A bucket or two here and there. Before long you got 26 ton of rock gone. There you are. So anyway.
So are you doing if you were to break out your business currently, what percentage of the work are you doing annually would you consider commercial, and what percentage would you consider non-commercial? We're probably 80% commercial, 20 custom work. Yeah. And in that 20%, is it do you have certain job types that you go after for that, or are you still I'll look at anything and tell you if we're the right fit for it?
We'll look at it and tell you if we're the right fit for it. I mean, we worked at a farm last year and actually got to go back and do some more work for this guy, a poultry farm. We spent about a month there building some roads and, rebuilding some feeder pads and doing some other things. And we do that. Hey, this year building, small barn pads, still doing that, doing drainage improvements in yards, new construction houses and all. We'll do that. Actually trying to get our GPS system figured out to where we can build our own models, actually shoot in our own surfaces. We're trying to utilize that a little bit because, and see how that works out. It's kind of a training thing, but it's working. We've done several jobs like that, and we're able to kind of be heavily competitive with that, because we can estimate dirt quantities a little easier with a GPS. We'll go out and build a design, and topo the job, and give them an accurate dirt number. We're not just guessing, and actually kind of show them what's gonna happen, where the water's gonna go, and all that. So we're still kind of doing some things like that. I enjoy that stuff. I enjoy working for homeowners. They're real appreciative. So I'd say it's a lot of that. I don't really get to do any ponds per se, big ponds or big things like that, and we don't do a whole lot of clearing either. So
yeah, do you sell that as a standalone service? Like if you can go do like the topo and the mapping and the water drainage, like have you ever thought of selling that as a standalone service?
I have. I would like to, and I think that's a direction we'll go. To do that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that looks like, yet. Right now, we're still in the education phase, I guess I could say, where we're trying to get it all figured out. And used to it would take me 3 or 4 hours to do that, and I've got it now where I can go out on a certain, decent sized yard and make a design and topo it within an hour or so. And so yeah, I did a pad the other day, a building pad, and I think I hit my quantity like nail on the head with what the GPS told me the dirt was going to be important and all. So it worked out great.
That's awesome. Well, the reason why I asked that, and it's more of a human psychology part of this. Mm-hmm. So in the grand scheme of the project, if you were to charge for that service, and pick an arbitrary number, $200, $500, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a customer pays you for that, and you deliver additional value above and beyond what their expectations were thought. What you do is you actually increase their trust in you on the dirt work side of things. And you've already provided something, like they gave you something small number compared to the project, and you gave them something back. So what you're doing is you're teaching them, almost like training a dog. You give me money, I give you results. You give me money, I give you results.
Right.
And it's a great way to like get over that. Like even if you're $4,000 higher than the next guy, they're like, yeah, but I'm comfortable giving him money because I know he does what he says he's going to do. It just helps build that trust thing. We actually tell septic installers, I'm like, because they always include the perk test and the soil sampling with the septic. I'm like, man, sell that separate because you got it before you even do the bid. It's like, well, we can do the perk test. You own it. You can use it for any contractor, whether it's us or them. It's $300. If you choose us to do the work, we'll show you a $300 line item deducting the cost of that perk. Because now if they've already given you money, the odds of them talking to another contractor shrink drastically.
Absolutely.
So it's just a great low intro to developing that relationship with a dollar amount they're comfortable with. And if you give them that topo and they still choose somebody else, I'll guarantee you they're going to give that to that other contractor because like, this is what we want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the few times I've done it, I've actually, I'll say this 100% of the time that I've given a topo and I've given a quantity, I've gotten the job. But, you're exactly right. If you can get some money for that'll even tie them into you even more. I mean, because I hate to say it almost makes them feel obligated, but I guess it does in a way.
It's the law of reciprocity. It's a human psychology thing. Like it's the law of reciprocity. So they gave something to you, you give something back. They're comfortable in that transaction pattern. It's the reason it's the reason our parents only bought cars from a specific dealership.
Absolutely. You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
And luckily for this industry, you will never be able to buy your excavation service on the internet. Never.
That's right. That's right. You're exactly right.
What they do? Fly you in an excavator with a Walmart drone and drop it off in your backyard and let me know when you're done with it. Like
exactly.
Like there's a level of technology used to do the work, but the technology itself can never replace the work. I shouldn't say never. Right. Something can change later. They could be doing this shit with laser beams in 100 years, but won't be in our lifetime.
No. No. Even with the GPS and all that and the technology we have now, you still got to kind of be an operator. You got to know what to do with the dirt. You got to know what your dirt's doing and all. It's just, it's not a fix-all.
Yeah.
GPS is nice. It can be the grandest thing in the world one day and the most aggravating thing the next.
It's like a pacifier for a baby, Drew. It's not apparent, but man, it helps a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a good way of putting it. Yep.
Yeah. It's not apparent, but it helps a lot. Oh man. So I got to ask you, switch gears a little bit. A couple more topics I want to make sure we cover today.
Yeah.
One, marketing for you, and obviously you're 80% commercial, and it's your regional area. So being word of mouth makes an enormous amount of sense, right? Like
absolutely.
those relationships are more valuable than a bar of gold. With that being said, and your focus being on nurturing and keeping those relationships strong and steady, how in the hell did you get 5,000 followers for a Facebook page for an excavation company in the Tennessee Valley?
I don't know. I don't know. I wish I knew. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. You know, you put a couple of posts up and sponsor them, and I'll be honest with you, I've never given a lot on a sponsorship ad on Facebook. Maybe $100 at most. With that being said, I mean, 5,000 followers sounds pretty good, but I don't know if I get a lot of work from Facebook, and it's my marketing itself. You know, I'm not saying it's Facebook. I'm saying it's me because about everything we do is word of mouth.
But here's what I'll tell you, Drew. You don't get a lot of work from Facebook. You want to know what you do get? You get the word of mouth telling a potential client about your company. Yeah. And then you get that potential client just looking at your Facebook page to see what you're about and what you do. Yeah. Yeah. And then they call you and say, hey, you were referred to me by this, but it was your social media presence that made that reference. Go, okay, this does, I mean, it doesn't give you the work or you don't find it, but it does help just cement that relationship. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. You know, you saying that, I quoted a job back last winter and, or this past winter, and it was for a man, and his mother got on my Facebook page and, you know, stalked it pretty good, my business page, and, you know, we were able to get the job. But because of that, she liked what she saw. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yeah. Even though he didn't get my name directly from Facebook, he got it from somebody else. They got on Facebook, and it was kind of like, you know, here's the proof. You know, this is what this guy does, you know. And so you're exactly right. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go buy, if you move to a new town and you were going to go buy another excavator, you'd ask people around there who the best dealer is, what company should I work with, and then you would go probably look at some forums or you do some homework, whether you realized you were doing it or not. You check out their website. I'm going to look at their Facebook page. I'm going to talk to these other contractors. Like that's as a consumer doing just a little bit of due diligence and research for a larger purchase. Yeah. Well, you guys don't sell $50 flugel binders. Like you sell high ticket services. So you have to expect it, whether it be flyers, brochures, yard signs, word of mouth, anything local on the ground. It needs to have a tie to your online presence of social sites. And I mean, I think in today's day and age, everybody needs a website because it's your brick and mortar store. It's your grocery store. Nobody can walk in a door to see you. You have to show it to them. Right. And I'm guilty. I don't have one and I need one. But you're right. I see that it makes a difference. I can see that firsthand. So, I mean, not to compare it to the Bible, but like it's your holy trinity for marketing. You have to have a mix of website, social, on the ground. Like, and when those three overlap and companies get it right, it's just like a flywheel that just keeps producing. You're right. Because I've caught myself before. We'll go to another town because we're bad to travel 2 hours away, sometimes 2.5 to work. We have before. Had a site where we had to do some clearing. We were looking for places to dump or, kind of sawmills or something like that. And we're getting on Google and Googling where the nearest sawmill is or where the nearest, lumberyard is. And same with anybody doing excavating work, And it hit me at that point. I've got
and I need to do it. I'm slacking. I've got to get me a good website.
Well, I know a guy that can do that for you, Drew.
I hear you. I hear you.
Oh man. Whoa, man. Do you manage your own social media sites, or do you have like a
Yes.
friend or a family member? This is all just you yourself.
All me. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm going to have to dissect that, because I'm telling you, most of the companies that we work with, we interview, or any contact with, and our team talks to a ton of them. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I'm happy when they have 500 to 800 followers. I'm excited when they have more than 1,200.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, oh, these guys know what they're doing. They're getting out there in the market.
Right.
But I pulled yours up and I was like, he's mostly commercial. How the hell do you have almost 5,000 followers?
Right. I know it's crazy, man. You know, I always try to post. I guess I try to post my work more than like machines, whatever, because if the customers, honestly, I don't know. Some of them do like machines, but some of them want to see the work. So I've always been trying to careful to kind of show what we're doing, or, you know, I don't know if that makes a difference or not. But.
It does, because it shows the process. It shows that you're educated, knowledgeable on what you're doing. It shows them they get to learn something.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
right.
It's almost the difference between being humble and overconfident.
Right.
Like you're taking pictures of that equipment because you want to feel good about it, that you own it, that you can work with it, and all that.
Yeah.
That's why I always tell everybody. I mean, have you ever seen an ad of a plumber showing you a pair of pliers, a hammer, and his tool belt?
In his plumbing truck, right? You're right.
Hell no.
Right.
They show you the drain, the refrigerator, the dishwasher, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nobody gives it, and it sounds bad to say it this way, Drew, but nobody gives a shit about the tools you use to get the job done.
They don't. They do not care. They do not care. That's exactly right. Exactly right. I've always thought, you know, they want to see the results. They don't care how you got it, just as long as you get it.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. That's probably part of your success. So there's a little gold nugget for you guys listening. If you're struggling with social media, stop showing your equipment. Start showing the results that you get.
Right. You know.
All right. Oh,
I
go
want
ahead.
to touch on that a little bit. I want to get your thoughts on that just a second, Ryan. You know, I see a lot of younger guys. I know everybody's happy with their stuff, but do you think, this question to you, because you're experienced as well, do you think sometimes that can be a negative thing for you to show your nice, fancy, flashy trucks and flashy equipment? And do you think that gives the impression that, I'm just saying, that you might be a little high, or, you know, you might, I know in my area, I've talked to several people, and it gives that impression here. Now, I'm not going to say we have the greatest economy around here. I mean, we mostly in this local area, you know, everybody's kind of cheap. So they get the impression that, well, if you're having to make all these payments, you know, your overhead's high. You know what I'm saying? What's your thoughts?
So when it comes to equipment, I think it's irrelevant. I mean,
right.
That's a tool you need to do the job. So if you go out and spend $150,000, $250,000 on an excavator, the average customer has no clue. If it's residential, they have no clue what that damn thing costs. Right. So I think it really, if I was to distill that down for the younger guys, it's your work truck.
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
Your work
I
truck.
completely agree.
If I see the words King Ranch, Platinum, or I see 22-inch deep dish wheels, I'm out. As a consumer, I'm out. Right. Like, there's roofing companies, right? And let's be honest, there's very few roofing companies that actually employ roofers. It's all outsourced to contractors.
You're right.
But when that guy pulls up with his 2025 F250 King Ranch Platinum with the 22-inch aftermarket wheels I'm like, as a consumer, I'm like, this guy's a dude. This guy's a douche.
Right.
I'm out.
Right.
I'm out.
Right. You know, I don't know if that hurts people's social media or not. That's kind of what I was getting at. It was more of the trucks and all the equipment.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that might hurt people in ways. I don't know. I've always thought that, you know.
Well, it's that you can get an F-250 XLT or Lariat, keep it stock, keep it clean, right?
Right.
And like everyone just assumes you need that big truck to haul your big equipment. It's when you add the bling, the unnecessary bling.
Right. You know, and to each their own, but this is not what I do. I'm driving around a 17 model F-250 with 185,000 miles on it. It's a STX, you know. I mean, it's a decent looking truck, but I don't know. I think it gets to the point, like you said, where being flashy with your trucks can hurt you in a way. And I think that, so I don't know.
That's again, this is it's my personal opinion. It's my experience with. No, you're good. It's my personal experience and opinion. But I mean, I get compliments on my truck all the time. It's a 2019 F-350 Lariat, 100% bone stock.
Yeah.
It's more important that you wash it so it's not covered in mud and like you're not tracking shit in their property. It looks like you care about what you own than it is about adding the extra wheels or lifting it 2 inches or tinting the back window and putting your name in chrome. Like there's a level of like, there's back to that whole thing, right? Arrogance, confidence, humility. Find the right balance for your market.
Absolutely. That's right.
Because let's be honest, Drew, if you're doing dirt work in Compton, Los Angeles, that shit actually might get you the work.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
You know, because that resonates with their audience.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. Read the room, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest lesson that like over 25 years, you can have a great idea, you can have a great mission, you can have the plan and action plan to do the work. But everything after that needs to be looked at through the lens of your customer.
Absolutely.
How does this message for this Facebook post resonate with the customer? How does this logo resonate with the customer? How does this, it doesn't matter. Like everything should be like, how would it resonate with the customer?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Because if you're doing everything for you, this is my business, I'm going to do it my way. Cool. Don't bitch when you're broke.
Absolutely. That's right. And I guess that's the biggest thing. You said it right there. That's what I've tried to do on my Facebook page and social media is how does it look toward the customer? You know, what will they think? You know.
Yeah, if you know who your customer is and what they're like, and you show them or you talk to them or you provide anything to them in a manner that resonates with what you think resonates with them, you're hard pressed to fail.
Right. Absolutely.
Hard pressed to fail. All right. I got just a couple more questions. We'll let you get back to your estimates for the day, my man.
All right.
Number one, when you filled out our form for the interview, like you talk about advice to give to a younger or somebody just starting out, and yours was like save money. Can you just go deeper and expand on that?
I sure can. And I'm going to be a little vulnerable here and open up. But when I first went full time, I had savings. You know, you don't realize how fast it can go, and you don't even mean for it to. You know, like you said before, getting held out on money 60, 90 days. Sometimes you get into it. You don't necessarily mean to. Like I said, it's a hard lesson to learn. The past year, probably, Ryan, has been the toughest for me in business so far, and it's really depleted us real bad. I see a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm hopeful right now. But, you know, had I not done a few things a year and a half ago, had I not bought this or done this, I'm not talking about things with my business, I'm talking about a few other things. And I don't own no boats or motorcycles or anything like that. It's pretty much work. But if I maybe hadn't have went out and ate as much, or hadn't have done this as much, you know, would I be in better shape? Probably. I probably would be. It probably wouldn't have stung as bad. But we find ourselves here, so we just have to pull out of it. But always be mindful that there's going to be hard times. It's not going to escape anybody. Everybody's going to, you know, this won't be the first one, or this won't be the last hard time I'm sure I go through. Like I said, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're about to get out of it. And so I've learned the lesson now that, you know, let's just try to put back and save a little more, and maybe take, you know, maybe instead of going out, you know, 2 times a month, let's go out once. Let's try to maybe not buy the kid a toy every time he goes. It's just small things. The small things add up. Don't go out and eat lunch every day. You know, bring your lunch. Just stupid things like that. I know I'm sounding like a tightwad, but it's like I said, it's been a struggle. I mean, we've struggled a little bit, but like I said, we're coming out of it. We're coming out of it now.
I appreciate you being open about that.
Yeah, it's, you know, everything's not as good as it looks on the outside with anybody, I'm sure.
Very true.
And the big message is if, you know, don't think just because the guy down the road, and I catch myself doing this all the time, Ryan. I see all these other guys and guys that have started after me that have maybe got more equipment than I've gotten, or got, you know, looks like they're doing better. Still in my mind, I still struggle with, what am I doing wrong? You know, what in the world have I done wrong? You can't let that stuff get to you, and it's easier said than done. But I just want to put that out there for one more, you know, just be one more person that says that. It is true. You can't. Maybe somebody's listening to this and they're thinking that same thing. You know, why is this guy that started in, you know, I started in 2020. Why is this guy that started in 2022 got more than I got? Well, you don't know his situation. You know, it's really hard to compare. You know, you don't know
his debt payment. Yeah.
Right. He may not be sleeping either at night, you know. So, anyway.
If he's a business owner, I'll guarantee you he is not sleeping.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But yeah, I guess that's it. Don't buy into all, you know, people's social media always is a highlight reel of what they want you to see, and you just can't. It's easier said than done, but you just can't let it get to you. You got to focus on you.
So Drew, just to give you a little support and a little pat on the back, man. Just like Mother Nature, man, life runs in seasons. It's guaranteed, right?
Yep.
So for every summer season you have, when things are rocking and rolling, money's flowing in, projects are on time, everything's working perfectly, just know winter's always coming.
Winter's always coming. That's right.
It may be 6 months, it may be 6 years, but it's coming.
Right. That's right. That's exactly right.
The only thing we don't know is when, but we know it's coming.
Absolutely. That's right.
And vice versa. When you're in that winter season, like you've had these last 18 months, if you continue to keep putting the work in, what needs to be done as a business owner, it's a guarantee that summer's coming back around.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Don't quit digging the tunnel when you're 3 feet from the gold, right?
That's right. You're right. Absolutely.
And and every lesson you learn, like you learned a great lesson. It put you in a tight bind. It did not kill you or crush you.
Right.
And all it did was set you up to be even more of a good steward and fiscally responsible in your next summer season.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And there's a silver lining in everything we do, right? Every failure has a silver lining.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's always lessons to be learned, for sure. And you don't forget them. A lot of them you don't forget.
No, man. Like I could say, who's your best residential customer, and you'd have to think about it.
Yeah.
I could say who's the worst residential customer you ever worked with. I bet it's already on the top of your head.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like
absolutely.
The lessons are in the failures. The lessons are in the mistakes. The lessons are in all that. You don't remember the good times.
Right.
So you have to have that mindset. You have to have that mindset of like, awesome, I got better today.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and if you're growing a business, you don't get less problems, you get bigger problems.
No, you're right. You're right.
So,
you know, that is very true. And I've been one of those guys that's kind of said, well, I don't want that headache. You know, like it's a bad thing. I don't know. But the more I've grown, so it's like the things that would seem like they were just going to end the world to start with, you know, that was just going to end everything. Now they're not so big.
Just another Monday.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. The problems just change. They don't go away.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
So, all right, man, I got one last fun little curveball to throw your way, and then we'll get you out of here.
All right.
All right. If you had to trade in your skid steer, your excavator, your dozer, all of it today, and you couldn't do excavation, what kind of business would you start?
A food truck.
Ooh. Why a food truck?
I don't know why.
All right.
I say that. I had an opportunity to buy a convenience store a few years ago, and I almost did it. But I don't know, something along that lines, I guess.
All right,
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know nothing about it, Ryan. I don't know anything about it, but it seems like it'd be fun.
Yeah, very interesting, man. Especially coming from a bar and restaurant background decades ago. Like I was like, oh, a food truck, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's the dish you make, or that you're like, that's my dish that you would serve on that food truck?
This is funny because the other day, like I said, I've got a good friend he's a paving contractor. We talk all the time, and we work together a good bit. And we were griping and venting and having one of our sessions where we're just, you know, talking about everything. And I was like, something was basically like, we'd be making more money if we just had a food truck. He's like, yeah, but you know how it is. We'd have to sell ramen noodles. And I'm like, you know what? That might not be a bad idea, man. A ramen noodle food truck. And then I got to Google it. I'm like, hey, it's a real thing. So it was a joke, but it was funny nonetheless, you know.
Oh, shit. That is funny. That's funny. Etouffee ramen noodles, man. There it is.
Yeah. Or we could do one like with grilled cheeses and just say it could be called Say Cheese or something, you know. Yeah.
I like it, man. All you got to do is put bacon in it. Everybody will want to eat it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Drew, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today, opening up, being vulnerable, having this awesome conversation with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if you want to connect with Drew, we'll link his Facebook page to his business in the show notes. Mm-hmm. And if you're still listening to this point and you haven't left a review, damn it, I don't know what else I need to do to get a review. You hound your customers for reviews for your Google profile. Consider this me hounding you to give us a review on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere else you listen to the podcast.
Awesome.
So until next week, team, we'll see you later. And Drew, thanks again for being on the show.
Thanks, sir.